Hey guys, tonight we're slipping softly into 17th century Vietnam, where paper lanterns drift like stars and every smile hides something sharp. The Full Moon Festival in Hội An is no ordinary celebration. It's a shimmering maze of light, etiquette, whispers, and hidden debts. And you? You're not ready. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to post your location and the local time. I love seeing where and when you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You arrive by river, the boat rocks gently beneath your feet as Hội An appears ahead, a haze of rooftops and lantern light. It's the night before the Full Moon Festival, and the entire town is glowing like it has something to prove. The dock is slick with moss and incense ash. You step off, sandals thin against the wooden planks, and someone presses a lantern into your hand before you can ask who or why. It's made of rice paper, hand-painted with cranes. It weighs almost nothing. The lantern flickers. So does your confidence. The air is sweet. Overripe fruit, charcoal, and rain-soaked silk. Every building wears its best face. Wooden shutters opened wide, glowing altars peeking from within. Bowls of fruit balanced like offerings to beauty itself. You're staying in a merchant's house. You don't know the merchant. You are simply told, go. They expect you. Your room is upstairs. The floorboards whisper. The mosquito net is embroidered with tiny dragons. A tray of tea waits on the table, already steaming. No one ever boiled it. You drink anyway. Outside your window, the streets are crowded. Not with tourists, because that doesn't exist yet, but with neighbours, cousins and travellers pretending not to be lost. A boy runs past trailing a kite shaped like a tiger. The string wraps around your ankle and pulls. You laugh. He doesn't. He snatches it back and vanishes. You wander through the market, guided by sound, flutes, laughter, the snap of silk. A girl with blue-dyed fingertips beckons you toward a stall of lanterns. She doesn't speak, just lifts one toward your face. It's shaped like the moon, round and soft with a single crimson eye painted in the centre. You shake your head. Too much. She nods anyway, like the transaction was internal. Historians still argue whether Hội An's Full Moon Festival was primarily spiritual, commercial, or theatrical. The answer, probably, is yes to all three. It was a place where ancestors were honoured, fortunes were traded, and faces were never just faces. You make it back to your room just as the bells begin. Deep, deliberate chimes. The town exhales. Then, silence. Your lantern, resting beside the tea, flares a little, then dims. You're tired, but not sleepy. Beauty hums outside your window like a lullaby missing one note. You lie down. And for the first time tonight, you wonder if you're meant to stay, or be seen, or be offered. Because in Hội An, beauty glows softly, and it often hides the fire beneath the paper. You wake to silk, not your own of course. You didn't bring anything fancy, but there it is, folded neatly at the foot of your bed, smelling faintly of jasmine and wood smoke. A robe, pale yellow, with blue cranes stitched across the collar. So fine it feels like mist in your hands. You hesitate, but the house is quiet and someone clearly expects you to wear it. So you slip it on. It fits too well. The sleeves are a touch long, the collar grazes your throat like a secret. And there's a weight in the hem, small jade beads maybe, stitched deep into the lining. Decorative, yes, but functional too. They keep the robe heavy, grounded, hard to run in. You step into your borrowed shoes. The soles are woven grass, the straps silk threaded. Not meant for walking far. The mirror in the corner is copper polished and slightly warped. You glimpse yourself and barely recognise the reflection. Pale gold robe, dusted hair, eyes that slept too shallow. You look like you belong here. That's the most dangerous part. Downstairs, the house is still empty, but your tea has been refreshed. A plate of candied lotus seeds waits beside it, arranged like an offering. You eat one, then two. Sweet, soft, and just slightly bitter, like something remembering it used to be alive. You step out into the morning festival bustle. The streets have changed overnight. Silk banners ripple overhead. Lanterns, newly strung, sway on curved bamboo poles. Drummers gather in corners, testing rhythms with fingers that move like they're summoning something. You hear chants from a nearby temple, slow and low, like a warning dressed up as a welcome. You're not alone, not really. Women in layered auto-turn robes sweep past you, balancing fruit trays on their heads. Children with painted faces duck between stalls, chasing each other with wooden masks shaped like frogs and phoenixes. Everyone is dressed. Everyone but you looks like they know what they're doing. Your robe clings in the wrong places. The silk itches. You want to pull it loose, but that would be rude. In Hội An, appearance is reverence. Historians still argue whether the elaborate costumes of the full moon festival were purely celebratory or subtly political. Clothing signalled everything: age, family ties, region, class. The wrong colour could insult an ancestor. The wrong knot could end a marriage proposal. You pass a group of performers rehearsing a lion dance. One of them catches your eye, just for a second. He's in half costume, his face streaked with powder and sweat. He grins. You look away. Too late. Now he's walking toward you. He gestures, friendly but assertive. His robe is deep red, the embroidery flaked with gold. You don't understand his words, but the meaning is clear. You're not wearing that robe correctly. He reaches out and with practiced hands adjusts your sash. Tighter, higher. Then he steps back, nods, approves, then vanishes. You breathe again, only to realize you've just been touched, in public, by a stranger. No one around you gasps, but a few people glance. One of them, a woman selling sweet rice cakes, clucks softly under her breath. You feel it then. The robe was a test, and you've already failed once. You try to walk with purpose, try to blend. But every step feels heavy now. The jade in the hem pulls at you. The silk rustles like it's whispering your name. A child tugs your sleeve and offers you a small paper fan. You accept it without thinking. There's a word written on the back, in beautiful looping script. You can't read it. But you know it's not your name. You tuck the fan into your sash and move on. Because here, in Hội An, dressing beautifully is more than tradition. It's a trap woven in threads, and the tighter the fit, the harder it is to leave. You turn the fan over again and again, hoping the strange word on the back will suddenly make sense. The script is delicate, like someone wrote it with a sigh. The paper is stiff, perfumed faintly. Jasmine again, but this time tinged with something smoky, almost metallic. You tuck it deeper into your sash and try to forget it. You wander through the main square, now fully alive with festival noise. Bamboo flutes echo over the river. Someone's pounding rice in a stone mortar, singing in time with each thud. The scent of grilled fish and sticky rice drifts through the air like a second skin. Then you see him. The old calligrapher sits under a red umbrella, hunched over his scrolls. His hands move like water, slow, practiced, and unbothered by the chaos around him. His table is cluttered with brushes, small ink pots, and folded fortune papers bound in red thread. A sign above him reads, "Poems for the moon, secrets for the quiet." You step closer. He looks up. His eyes are clouded but sharp, like he sees without needing light. You bow. He nods. A transaction begins before a word is spoken. You drop a coin on his tray. He selects a slip of mulberry paper and begins to write. You watch the brush dance, thick strokes tapering to hair-thin wisps. The poem forms without hesitation. When he finishes, he blows gently on the ink, then folds the paper twice and ties it with green thread. He places it in your palm, but before you can thank him, he speaks. "Don't unfold it under the moon." You blink. Why not? He smiles, the kind that curls at the edges like burnt paper. Ink bleeds when it sees too much light. You laugh, nervously. But he's already looking past you, like your part in his story is done. You walk away. The paper feels heavy for its size. You're tempted to read it right there, but you don't. Not yet. Instead, you move through the temple gate into a courtyard filled with candles and food offerings. Bananas, incense, boiled chickens with carefully arranged feet. Devotees kneel on mats, their prayers spilling into the air like smoke. A priestess chants nearby. Her voice rises and falls like a lullaby sung through grit. You keep your head low. The folded poem warms in your hand. You slip it into your robe beside the fan, the two papers now nestled together like old friends, or rival rumours. Historians still argue whether calligraphers like him were revered poets, or quiet political subversives. Some accounts suggest they passed coded messages in their poems. Others say they were simply eccentric. Either way, they held power, especially during the festival, when the moon was believed to open certain unseen doors. You return to the square just as a group of girls in pink silk robes glide past you, carrying lotus blossoms in wide bamboo trays. They giggle behind their fans. One pauses, leans in close, and whispers in a voice like sugar, "You should burn that poem before nightfall." Then she disappears. You whirl around, gone. You sit on the edge of a fountain carved with dragons, the tail curling into the mossy water. You don't know what to do. Burn the poem? Unfold it? Hide it? You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sun warm your face, but it doesn't feel like sun anymore. It feels like someone watching. You open your eyes. The calligrapher's booth is empty. Completely. No umbrella, no scrolls, no ink pots. Gone. You reach into your robe. The poem is still there, but the thread has turned red. You stare at the red thread now binding the poem, pulsing faintly against your palm. It's not glowing exactly, but it catches the light in a way that feels deliberate, like someone replaced the green without touching you, without asking. You tuck the slip deeper into your robe. The festival is swelling now. Music, crowds, colour. Paper dragons ride the breeze. Women in crimson aodai balance trays of sweets and rice wine. You're dizzy with it all. Your mouth is dry, but the idea of eating anything right now feels absurd. Still, your stomach growls. You follow your nose toward a narrow alley strung with lanterns. The scents here are sharper. Grilled pork with lemongrass, fish cakes sizzling in oil, the unmistakable tang of fermented shrimp paste. And in the middle of it all, a small vendor surrounded by people. He's serving ban-eat, sticky rice dumplings wrapped in banana leaves. You queue behind a young woman in an emerald sash. She gives you a look, not unkind, but careful. "Don't eat the black ones," she says under her breath. Then she's gone. You blink. The vendor sees you hesitate. He smiles, missing 2 teeth, both front, and offers you a small dumpling. White rice. Perfect triangle, warm in your hand. You nod and take it. It's soft, fragrant, filled with mung bean and a whisper of ginger. You breathe. Maybe you imagine the tension. Maybe things are still simple, but then a man behind you drops his tray. Not just clumsy, shoves it away. Rice and wrappers scatter across the cobbles. You step back as a dog rushes forward to eat. The vendor's smile falters. He watches the dog, watches you. You place your empty banana leaf on the tray and walk away. You turn a corner and end up beside a shrine. Small, tucked between 2 market stalls but overflowing with offerings. Candied fruit, tiny teacups, coins, bits of gold leaf pressed to the wood. You kneel, unsure why. Your hands move without asking permission. You reach into your robe, pull out the paper fan, then the poem. Both rest in your lap like siblings waiting to be chosen. You close your eyes, and then... "Beautiful things attract the wrong eyes," a voice says beside you. You startle. A man in merchant robes stands just behind the shrine. His sleeves are stiff with embroidery, his hat tilted low. He's chewing a piece of candied ginger. "You're the visitor," he says, more observation than question. You nod. He looks at your robe, then the poem in your lap. "Do you know what that says?" "No." He leans in, doesn't touch it, just reads. Then he blinks slowly, as if hearing something very far away. "You shouldn't have taken this," he says. "I didn't ask for it." "No one does," he replies. Then he smiles and leaves. Historians still argue whether food at the full moon festival was about hospitality or hierarchy. Some dishes were reserved for specific castes. Others were subtle tests of trust, ingredients chosen not just for flavour, but for symbol. To eat the wrong cake could mark you. You sit there, breath shallow, stomach tight. The poem flutters in your hand. The red thread has come loose, not broken, just open. You could read it now, but you don't. Instead, you fold it again, tie it gently, and stand. Because suddenly you feel like every bite you've taken has been watched. And the festival, for all its laughter and light, is starting to feel hungry. You make the mistake of stepping too close to the river, not because it's forbidden, quite the opposite. Everyone in Hội An comes to the water during the full moon festival. It's part of the ritual. Offer your lantern to the current. Make a wish. Watch it drift. Forget what you gave away. But you? You hesitate. The bank is crowded with robed figures holding flickering lanterns, some shaped like lotuses, Some simple cubes of folded paper and wax. They glow gold, orange, soft pink. They look harmless. They aren't. A girl hands you one. No words, just a bow. Her fingernails are stained purple from dye. Her wrists threaded with tiny bells. You try to thank her, but she's already gone. Bells vanishing with her. You crouch near the water, careful not to slip on the moss-slick stones. The lantern feels lighter than air, like it might float away before you can place it. Inside is a single candle, barely lit, its flame bowing to the breeze. You set it on the water. It floats, at first, then it turns. It drifts sideways, toward the bank. You watch the other lanterns, graceful, obedient, drifting into the moonlit current like well-trained dancers. Yours spins, then stops. Its flame sputters, then flares, then stays. You're still staring when a hand lands on your shoulder. You flinch. A young man, barefoot, grinning, cheeks flushed from wine, leans beside you. "First time?" he asks. You nod. "Bad omen," he says, looking at your stubborn lantern. "But sometimes, that just means the river knows your name." He raises his cup in mock salute. Then he slips, catches himself, laughs, and disappears into the crowd. You try to forget the way your stomach turned when he said your name. You try even harder to forget that you never told him anything. A woman nearby laughs too loudly. Her lantern is crimson. Two boys splash water at each other with the easy recklessness of those who don't carry secrets. You walk along the river, watching the lanterns float. Yours has gone dark, but it still floats. Barely. You think about retrieving it. But a child standing knee-deep in the water turns and stares at you. Expression blank, eyes unreadable. You step away. Historians still argue whether the river lanterns of Hội An were true offerings or quiet warnings. Some accounts say ancestors claimed the flames, others say river spirits kept score. One story tells of a girl who tried to retrieve her lantern. She was never seen again, except in reflections. You find yourself near a stall selling clay turtles. The merchant waves you over. "Protection," he says, pushing one into your palm, "for tonight." You start to protest, but he closes your fingers around it. "No coin," he says. "You already paid." He won't explain. You glance at the turtle, a tiny thing, no bigger than your thumb. Its shell is carved with a single word you don't recognize. You ask him. He shrugs. Sometimes it means anchor. Sometimes it means debt. You slip it into your sash. You're collecting a strange amount of paper and prophecy for someone who came here for light. You sit on a low wall beside a dancer brushing powder from her cheeks. She doesn't look at you, just says, "Don't follow the lion." You blink. "What lion?" She gives a small, tired smile. "You'll see." Then she disappears into the dark, leaving only the scent of rice powder and sweat behind. You want to go back to the house. You want to lie down. You want this night to unfold like a poem with a happy ending. But the lanterns on the river have started to change. A few now burn blue. Yours isn't among them. But it's still there, waiting. The drums start before you see the lion. Low at first, like someone knocking on the walls of the earth. Then sharper, snaps and rolls that rattle your ribs and turn the air electric. The crowd stills. Heads turn, lanterns sway. You don't have to ask what's happening. The festival rhythm shifts. Children scamper toward the sound, squealing. Merchants pause mid-sail. Even the incense smoke seems to lean in. You follow, because what else can you do? The street ahead opens into a plaza, half-shadowed beneath silk banners, and there it is, the lion. Two dancers crouched under an elaborate costume, gold and red and ferocious. The head is massive with blinking eyes and a mouth that snaps shut with terrifying precision. Every movement is sharp, precise, unnatural. The lion doesn't dance, it hunts. The drums quicken. A circle forms around the beast. Performers bang cymbals with a kind of joyful violence. Firecrackers erupt, filling the air with sulphur and sparks. You cover your ears, heart hammering. The lion springs. It lunges toward a group of children who squeal and scatter like blown petals. Then it twists, sinuous, impossible, and lands directly in front of you. You freeze. The lion blinks and bows. Someone behind you gasps. The lion stands still, waiting. Then it nods, just once, and turns away. Everyone claps. The performers laugh. The circle breaks apart, but not before one of the drummers leans toward you, sweat glistening on his brow. "Be careful," he says, barely audible. "You've been chosen." Then he disappears into the crowd. You try to find meaning in the lion's stare, but all you have is the memory of that bow, deliberate, precise, like a name being spoken with movement. You retreat to the edge of the plaza. An old woman beside you cackles softly. "Lion knows who's soft," she says. "Soft hearts, soft luck." She offers you a sweet wrapped in rice paper. You decline. She laughs again. "Too late," she says. Historians still argue whether lion dances in Vietnam were solely for celebration or carried deeper meanings. Some say the lion brought luck. Others say it marked the living from the soon-to-be dead. In Hội An, the symbolism shifted like the moon, never quite the same from year to year. You walk away head pounding from the drums. At a nearby stall, a craftsman paints red stripes onto paper masks. Foxes, demons, gods, all with slightly too large eyes. One mask, half finished, looks like the lion's face. You watch him paint. He doesn't look up, but he speaks. "It looked at you." You nod. Don't let it look twice. The paintbrush stills. The mask stares. You leave before he can say more. Later, you return to the riverbank. The lanterns are fewer now. Yours is gone. Not sunken, not burning, just missing. You crouch, staring at the ripples, and feel the clay turtle press against your ribs. The word on its back feels heavier now. Anchor, or debt. You hear the drums again. Fainter now, but not gone. You thought the lion was part of the show. You were wrong. The lion was part of the choosing. And the choosing? That's only just begun. You don't hear the temple bell until everything else goes quiet. It cuts through the evening like a blade made of sound. Deep, measured. The kind of resonance that vibrates in your chest long after the tone fades. One chime, then another. Then a long pause that seems to hold its breath. Someone grabs your sleeve. You're late. A girl, young, her hair pinned in a lacquered bun, her robe the colour of fresh plum, tugs you toward the stone path leading uphill, toward Hội An's main temple. "You're the last," she says without looking back. You don't remember signing up for anything, but refusing her feels wrong, like refusing gravity. So you follow. The crowd thins as you ascend. The festival noise dims. Below, the laughter and flutes melt into a kind of musical fog. Up here, it's only wind and bell. The temple gates rise ahead. Tall, red lacquered wood, carved with dragons curling around each post. Incense smoke coils from brass braziers. Lanterns dangle like fruit, trembling with candlelight. The girl hands you a small offering plate, rice, petals, and a sliver of ginger. "Place it at the altar," she whispers. "Speak softly. Don't ask for anything you aren't prepared to lose." Then she steps aside. You climb the temple steps. They feel too shallow and too steep at the same time. Your robe tightens around your knees. The wind carries prayers past your ears, words in languages you don't know but somehow understand. Inside, the temple glows. A great statue of the moon goddess sits in silence, eyes downcast, lips almost smiling. Offerings surround her, candles, cakes, coins, paper birds folded mid-flight. Her robe is painted gold, her hands open, one palm holds a mirror. You step forward. Place your offering down. You don't speak. You don't breathe. And yet, something hears you. The air shifts. A thread of your hair lifts. Your chest tightens with the feeling of being seen. Properly, deeply. Not like a person, but like a page being read. Behind you, someone clears their throat. You turn. An elderly monk stands there, robes so faded they seem made of mist. She doesn't take kindly to false wishes, he murmurs. "I didn't wish," you reply. "Good. That makes you honest. Or careful." He bows. You bow back. Then he points to the far wall. You hadn't noticed it before. Covered in thin wooden plaques, each inscribed with a name, a symbol, and a small painted circle in varying colours. Red, blue, black, gold. Some glimmer, others flake. One is freshly placed, the paint still wet. You move closer. It bears no name, just a single word, visitor. Painted in your robe's exact shade of yellow, you step back, fast. The monk is gone. You leave the temple in silence, your sandals slapping lightly against stone. At the gate, the plum-robed girl waits. She offers you a rice cake wrapped in lotus leaf. You accept it. But she doesn't smile. You were expected, she says simply. Historians still argue whether temple rituals during the full moon festival were open to all or reserved for the chosen few. Some believe outsiders were honoured. Others suggest they were tested. You walk back down the hill. The lights seem dimmer now, the flutes sound flatter. You bite into the rice cake. Inside is something hard. You pull it out, a coin, small, copper, etched with a sun on one side, a moon on the other. You pocket it without thinking. You don't realise until later that the moon side shows a face. And the face looks a little like yours. You walk with the coin in your palm, moon side up. It winks at you in the lantern light. Your face, or something wearing it, etched into copper with just enough detail to make your skin itch. You try to tell yourself it's coincidence, just a stylized figure, just a strange trick of metal. But you can feel the coin watching. You tuck it away. The festival has thickened. The narrow streets swell with movement, silk on silk, laughter tinged with something brittle. You pass vendors selling sugarcane juice, lacquer combs, miniature paper pagodas. A man juggles flaming torches to a crowd that claps too politely. Children parade by with drums and painted gourds. Their rhythm is wrong. You find yourself drawn toward the southern plaza, where the crowd parts like a tide. For her, the governor's daughter, you've heard whispers, you've seen people glance over their shoulders before saying her name, as if she might be listening. And now, there she is. Her robe is ivory, embroidered with cranes and chrysanthemums. Her hair is a black river twisted with pearls. She moves slowly as if the ground bends to meet her feet. People bow. You do too. You're not sure why. She turns her head and looks at you. Her eyes are dark, unreadable. A flicker of recognition, of amusement. You can't tell. She glides past, flanked by attendants, their expressions blank as calligraphy paper. Then she stops, turns. "Visitor," she says, as soft as breath. "Walk with me." You do. Of course you do. No one dares question it. The crowd rearranges itself around you, as though this were always the plan. She doesn't speak again for a while, just walks beside you. Her sleeves whisper as they move. Her scent is plum wine and lightning. Finally, she says, "You've been touched." You almost laugh. "By the lion?" She doesn't smile. "By the night." You want to ask what that means, but you don't. Questions feel unsafe. Instead, you say, "Your festival is beautiful." "It isn't mine." That stops you. "It belongs to the dead," she says. "We only borrow it." You glance around, the dancers, the children, the lanterns, the sweet rice, the laughter. Borrowed. Does the moon goddess approve of borrowing? She does, the governor's daughter says, but she always wants something back. You reach instinctively for the turtle in your sash. She notices. "Be careful with gifts," she says, voice cool. "They come wrapped in need." She leads you into a small courtyard surrounded by silk screens. A single paper lantern burns in the centre, brighter than it should. The walls shimmer. She pulls something from her sleeve, a jade bracelet, and presses it into your hand. "Wear it." Why? "Because they'll know." "Who?" She tilts her head. "The ones watching." Historians still argue whether women of power in 17th century Vietnam wielded spiritual influence in addition to political clout. Some claim noble daughters were trained in ancestral rites as deeply as monks. Others dismiss it as superstition. But when someone like her speaks, you listen. You slip the bracelet on. It's cold at first, then warm, then humming. Not a sound, a vibration just beneath the skin. She reaches out, brushes a strand of hair from your cheek. "You're not what they expected," she murmurs. "That's not good or bad, it's just interesting." Then she's gone. No goodbye. You're alone in the courtyard. You step back into the crowd. The air feels different now. People glance at your wrist. Some look surprised. Others look away quickly. You find Brigitte. No, wait, not Brigitte, not here, but someone vaguely familiar in a peach robe selling candied fruit. She nods at your bracelet. "Better hope they like interesting," she says, biting into a plum. Then she spits out the pit. Right at your feet. You keep walking. The bracelet hums softly, and you wonder, what happens when something expects you, and then you arrive? The bracelet doesn't stop humming. It's not loud, no one else notices. But to you, it's like a second pulse, just beneath the skin, wrapped around the bone. It beats in time with your steps, your breath, your confusion. You wind your way toward the marketplace, hoping to lose yourself in noise and light. But the marketplace is different now. It's quieter, slower. The laughter feels rehearsed. The vendors all smile with the exact same angle. Even the children don't chase each other anymore. They walk instead, lanterns in hand, expressions strangely solemn, as if rehearsing for something they don't understand. You pause in front of a silk stall, feigning interest in a crimson scarf embroidered with turtles. The vendor greets you politely, bows too low, and pretends not to notice the bracelet. You ask him a question, something small, meaningless about the fabric's dye. He doesn't answer. Instead, he looks behind you. You turn and see a boy, a water puppet. No strings, just standing there. Painted face, lacquered body, eyes too still. You blink. He's gone. You stumble back, knocking over a basket of scarves. The vendor doesn't flinch. He calmly bends to pick them up, humming softly. A lullaby you've never heard but somehow remember. You back away, and then you see them, the puppets, lined up neatly in a shallow pool just beyond the edge of the market. Their faces painted in smiles, their hands holding fans, swords, instruments, their feet half submerged. They shouldn't move. They do. One turns its head slowly toward you. Just a fraction of a degree. You freeze. Someone touches your elbow. You spin around. It's an old woman with a tray of sweets. "Buy one," she says. "They forget you when your mouth is sweet." You hand her a coin without thinking. She presses a small candy into your palm. It's wrapped in green rice paper, the edges curled like leaves. You unwrap it. The scent is strong. Ginger and something else. Cinnamon, clove, memory. You eat it. It burns. But the puppets stop moving. You turn back. They're still now, harmless again. Were they ever not? You walk away fast, head down. The bracelet buzzes once sharply, then settles. You turn a corner and find a stall you haven't seen before, though you're certain you've walked this way already. It sells paintings, tiny portraits, ink on pressed silk pinned to a bamboo board like insects under glass. The stallkeeper, a thin man with calloused hands, nods as you approach. He doesn't speak, just points. You follow his finger. There, on the bottom row, a portrait of you. Exactly you. Same robe, same hair, same expression. You step back. "I didn't sit for this." "No," he says softly, "but someone saw you." You glance at the other portraits. Some are aged, their subjects long gone. A few shimmer with gold paint, but yours, fresh, still wet. You feel it in your chest, that cold, sinking drop of dread. "Who asked for this?" The stallkeeper looks at you, then at the sky. The moon is rising now, full, huge, watching. Historians still argue whether puppet performances in early Vietnamese festivals were just entertainment or tools of ancestral storytelling. Some believe the puppets could absorb stories themselves, remember things. Others insist the stories were projected by the watchers, not the watched. You turn from the stall, portrait still burning in your mind. You want to run, but your legs feel wrapped in fog. The bracelet tugs gently at your wrist, not physically, just insistently. You duck into a side street. It's empty, silent. Except for a whisper just behind your ear. Not words, just breath. You whirl. Nothing. But now every lantern seems to flicker in rhythm with your steps. Every shadow bends slightly toward you. And the moon, it's far too bright, like it's trying to read you. You think you've escaped the market, but Hội An doesn't believe in straight lines. The alleys curl in on themselves, coiling tighter with every turn. You pass the same carved gate twice. The same cat with the same torn ear slinks past you again, tail twitching. You swear you're walking forward, but the wind feels backward. You try not to panic. Then, laughter, soft, strange, lilting. You turn toward it and stumble into a narrow courtyard dappled with lantern light. Water laps at the stone edges. It's one of the performance pools, shallow and ringed with reeds, and in it they're dancing, the water puppets. But they're not being pulled by rods. No strings, no visible support. They move as if by memory. One raises a tiny parasol, spins, another plays a carved flute. Their painted faces never change, but their bodies do. Jerky at first, then smooth. Too smooth. They shouldn't move like this. They shouldn't move alone. You step closer, unable to look away. Then one puppet, dressed in green with a little golden fish tucked under one arm, turns to face you and speaks, not aloud, but inside. Words that slide beneath your skin, shaped like thoughts that don't belong to you. You're already part of the story, you blink. The puppet blinks back. You take a step back. A voice behind you. It told you, didn't it? You spin. A young man leans against the courtyard gate, arms crossed, expression unreadable. His robe is traveller's brown, embroidered only at the collar. He nods toward the pool. They don't lie. They don't know how. You try to speak, but he's already moving. You can't leave until you understand what you've been made into, he says, and by then, it may be too late. He tosses something into the water, a small copper charm shaped like a bird. The puppets pause, look down, then resume. You shouldn't follow the lion, he adds, almost as an afterthought. But you already did. You stammer, "What is this place?" He gestures to the sky. It's not a place, it's a night. Historians still argue whether water puppet plays originated purely as rural entertainment or as ritualistic reenactments of forgotten truths. Some folklore suggests the puppets are vessels, holding more than story. Some even believe they speak on their own during festivals, though only to those whose names have been written without ink. You clutch your sash. The poem is still there. The fan. The turtle. Too many things. Too many stories. The young man gives you a look of pity. Don't eat anything else, he says. Don't accept any more gifts. Then he disappears through the gate. The puppets keep dancing, and one of them drops the golden fish. You fish it out almost without thinking. It's carved from bone. Your name is scratched on the underside. You never told them your name. You never gave it. But someone or something took it anyway. You step out of the courtyard. The path ahead is new, but the bracelet tightens slightly. And behind you, the puppets finally stop. One waves. You walk faster now. The path beneath your feet is no longer stone but packed earth. Damp and fragrant. The kind that remembers every step. The air is thicker here, less celebration, more ceremony. You've strayed beyond the festival's glow, into a quieter quarter where the houses lean closer together and the lanterns burn lower, if at all. Someone is burning sandalwood nearby. You smell it before you see the smoke. It curls out of a second-story window, grey and delicate, like it doesn't want to be noticed. But you notice. Everything now feels like it's watching you watch it. You grip the carved fish in your palm. It's warm. A small, hunched woman steps out of a doorway and gestures for you to follow her. You don't want to. You do anyway. She leads you into a courtyard cluttered with folded paper offerings. Some are animals, tigers, deer, cranes. Others a stranger, a miniature ladder, a tiny stove, a fan with no handle. At the centre is a brazier. The flames are low but bright, and around it, people are kneeling. No one speaks. The woman takes the fish from your hand and sets it gently into a folded paper boat, which she places into the fire. It catches immediately, the flames licking through the delicate folds, the bone curling black. Your name burns. No one gasps. No one even reacts. They were waiting for it. She turns back to you, hands you a blank square of rice paper and a brush already wet with ink. You must replace what you gave, she whispers. You stare at the paper, the brush. Your fingers shake. You don't know what to write. I don't know what to say, she smiles faintly. That is when the truest things come through. So you write. Not words at first, just lines. The shape of the puppet's eye, the outline of the coin, the curl of a jade bracelet, the moon. And when you finish, without knowing how, it's no longer blank. It says, still becoming. She nods, takes the paper, folds it into a crane, places it in your hand. Don't lose this one, she murmurs. It belongs to you now. Historians still argue whether the burning of paper offerings was a symbolic gift to the ancestors or a more literal transaction with spirits. Some say names placed in fire were safe. Others claim it left you open, like a house without a door. You leave the courtyard carrying the crane like a lantern. The streets are quieter now. The dancers are fewer, the air colder, but your steps are steady. A girl passes you carrying a tray of mooncakes, offering them with a bow. You flinch, remembering the warning. She holds the tray out again, eyes kind. "I made them myself," she says. "No fillings, just flour and water." You hesitate. "Take one. Hold it." She nods, satisfied, and disappears into the dusk. You don't eat it. Yet. Instead, you pass an altar lined with candles. One of them flickers violently as you walk by. You glance down. The bracelet on your wrist is glowing, softly but unmistakably. A figure is watching you from across the road. Tall, unmoving, face obscured by a mask shaped like a laughing moon. He doesn't move. Neither do you. Then, very slowly, he raises a hand. Not to wave, to point, at your chest, at the crane. Then he steps backward and vanishes. You clutch the folded paper to your heart. You don't know what you've joined, but it knows you. The paper crane flutters slightly in your hand, though there's no wind. You cup your fingers around it, shielding its delicate wings from the night. Its ink is still wet in places. Your writing, your memory, maybe even your breath. You want to tuck it away. You want to hide it. But something tells you, don't. You step into a corridor between houses. The noise of the festival dims to a hush. Here, the lanterns are fewer, hung lower. Their light doesn't glow, it pools, like honey left out too long. Silk stalls line the passage, their banners swaying with a rhythm you can't quite trust. Perfumes hang in the air, frangipani, cinnamon, old ink. You're not alone. You see the eyes before you see the bodies. Girls, mostly. Standing perfectly still behind veils of embroidered silk. Their lips are painted black, their fingers wrapped in silver thread. They do not speak, but they see you. One of them steps forward. She doesn't walk, she glides. In her hands, a bowl. Inside it, a sticky, translucent dumpling, dusted with powdered sugar and crushed rose petals. You shake your head. "No more gifts," you whisper. She tilts her head, then speaks. Not aloud, but straight into your spine. You already accepted it. You glance down. The mooncake from earlier is gone. You didn't eat it. You know you didn't. But your hands are empty. You step back and bump into someone, another girl, another bowl. This one holds nothing but water, and in the reflection you see yourself. But not quite. Your robe is the same, but your eyes are different. They're not afraid, they're hungry. You jerk away. The bowls vanish, the girls melt into the walls. You run, not far. The path won't let you. You end up in another courtyard, a silk canopy above, painted parasols twirl slowly from invisible strings, and in the centre, a table set for one. Your name, your real name, is etched into the lacquered wood. You don't remember giving it to anyone, but it's there, written in gold. You turn to leave, but a voice stops you. "You owe us a dance." You turn. It's the dancer from before, the one without eyes. She stands perfectly still. Her robe is white. Her veil hangs low, covering her empty gaze. Her arms are raised, not threatening, not welcoming, just waiting. "No," you whisper. "You already promised," she says. And then the drums return. Soft, distant, familiar. You never agree to dance, but your feet move anyway. The floor beneath you tilts. The parasols spin faster. The silk canopy ripples. Your body remembers something your mind forgot. You raise your arms and follow, not her, the rhythm, the beat beneath the beat. Your heart keeps pace. The bracelet warms. The crane hums. Historians still argue whether the dances performed during the full moon festival were reenactments of ancient myths or invitations to something deeper. One legend tells of a girl who danced for the moon goddess and was never seen again, except in lantern reflections. You don't know how long you dance, but when you stop, the parasols are still, the canopy is silent, and you're alone. The table is empty now, but the name remains, and next to it, a second one. You bend closer. It's the dancer's. You never heard it before, but now you feel it, like it was carved into your ribs. You leave the courtyard slowly, crane still in hand. Somewhere in the distance, someone claps politely. Once, twice, then silence. You don't know who they were clapping for, but you bow anyway. You move through the night like a thread being pulled through cloth. The fabric of the festival is stretched thin now, Too many alleys, too few faces. The colours are still bright, but the meaning behind them has faded. Music plays, but it feels half a beat off. Even the lanterns blink strangely, like they're trying to signal something through blinks and flutters. You follow the scent of sugar and sesame. It leads you to a courtyard rimmed with rose-coloured silk. Tables line the walls, covered in trays of mooncakes. Round, golden, perfect. More than you've ever seen in one place. It feels excessive. You're not alone. A woman sits at the head of the longest table. Her hair is coiled like a seashell, lacquered and polished. Her hands are gloved, not for warmth, but for cleanliness. She looks up as you enter. "You're late," she says. You start to apologise, then stop. You didn't know you were coming here, but of course, she did. She gestures to a chair. You sit. She lifts a mooncake with a pair of silver tongs, places it gently on the porcelain plate in front of you. Inside the pastry, a slice of salted egg yolk. You hesitate. She nods, as if this confirms something. "Mooncakes," she says, "are more than dessert. They're contracts." You blink. She continues, voice calm as polished jade. "Every filling tells a story. Red bean is for memory, mung bean is for clarity, black sesame is for protection, and egg yolk." She smiles. "Egg yolk is for truth." You stare at the pastry. The crust is embossed with a design you don't recognise. Not a flower, not a phoenix. It's a key. "You've eaten none of the others," she says. You nod. "And yet you've already tasted more than most." She pours tea into a delicate cup. The steam rises, carrying something sharp. You pick up the cake and take a bite. It's warm, sweet, rich, and salty. Your teeth find something hard. A sliver of jade. You cough, nearly choke. She calmly hands you a napkin. "You've been marked," she says. "Better to choose it now than wait to be chosen again." You spit the jade into your palm. It's the same green as your bracelet. You look up. She's gone. The entire table. Gone. You sit alone in a room of empty chairs and crumbs. The tea is cold now. The pastry mostly gone. The jade remains. You wrap it in the napkin and tuck it into your sash. Beside the turtle. Beside the crane. Beside everything else you didn't ask for but now seem to own. Historians still argue whether mooncakes in 17th century Vietnam were simply celebratory or encoded with messages of rebellion. Some legends tell of secret notes hidden inside them, passed during times of war. Others claim the cakes could reveal truth if you knew how to taste it. You walk out of the courtyard. The stars feel lower than they should be. The wind picks up, carrying voices not quite singing. At the next corner, a child with ink-stained hands offers you a scroll. "No words," he says, "only image." You open it. It's a painting of you eating the mooncake. The jade is visible in your mouth. You roll the scroll shut and hand it back. The boy smiles, revealing sharp, perfect teeth. You don't ask who painted it. You already know. You cross the bridge that leads back toward the river. The water has risen. The lanterns bob more violently now. Some dip under, vanish. Others hover as if caught. You feel the jade warm against your side. The truth is settling, and it tastes like something ancient and very awake. The river is no longer a mirror, it churns. Earlier it was calm, obedient. Now the water seems restless. It doesn't ripple, it flexes. The lanterns atop it don't float so much as hover, straining against some invisible current you can't quite see, but deeply, deeply feel. You stop on the bridge. Look down. One lantern glows brighter than the rest. You lean closer and see your own face reflected on the water's surface. Not the real you, not even the portrait you saw painted. This version is older, tired, and smiling in a way you aren't. You step back. The reflection stays. A sound pulls your attention. A brush against paper. You follow it to a narrow corridor just beyond the bridge, where an artist works by moonlight. He sits cross-legged, robes pooled around him like water. His scrolls are spread in careful rows. A bowl of ink rests beside him, untouched. You say nothing. He doesn't look up. He just speaks. "I thought you wouldn't come." You don't remember being invited. But your feet feel heavy now, like they've always been leading you here. The artist lifts a scroll and holds it out. You take it. It unrolls slowly in your hands. The ink still glistens. The image? You. Again. But this time, not dancing, not eating, not bowing. This time you're asleep. And behind you, rising like mist, is a figure with a moon for a face, reaching down to press a finger to your forehead. You look up at the artist. His eyes are clouded, his hands steady. "She's watching you," he says. "Who?" He smiles. "Do you want the honest answer or the comforting one?" "Honest." He leans in, voice low. "Everyone." You roll the scroll tight and hand it back. He shakes his head. "It's yours now." You tuck it into your robe, joining the poem, the coin, the jade, the crane, the turtle. The weight begins to build. None of it is yours, and yet all of it is. These aren't gifts, they're layers. Stories piling up like silk until you can't tell where your skin ends and the costume begins. You walk away, feet tracing a path that feels memorized. You arrive at a plaza where dancers rehearse beneath the gaze of an enormous paper moon. The air is thick with perfume and sweat. Their movements are sharp, elegant, like blades being polished with every turn. One dancer stumbles, everyone stops, no one speaks. The others back away. Two women step forward and gently lift the dancer away, carrying her as if she were a doll in danger of breaking. A third woman turns and beckons. At you. The dancers part, making space. You shake your head. She nods. You feel your feet move. The bracelet on your wrist tightens. You step into the circle. They do not applaud. They study. One dancer guides your hands into position. Another fixes your posture. A third draws a single line of chalk along your cheek. Not makeup, marking. Then the drums begin. You move. Not with skill, but with surrender. The same surrender that pulled you into the puppet courtyard, into the temple, into the mouth of the lion. The dancers match your pace. They weave around you. They orbit. But you are the center now, not out of grace, out of gravity. When the dance ends, no one bows. They vanish one by one, and you're alone again. Except, someone stands just beyond the light, watching, not cloaked, not masked, just waiting. You step toward them. They raise their hand and hold up a mirror, your face, but not quite, not anymore. Historians still argue whether dances performed under the festival moon were meant to please gods or summon them. Some believe dancers were chosen by the moon herself, seen not for their skill, but for their ability to forget who they were. You lower the mirror, the figure is gone, but the reflection stays. Even after the glass is lowered, you walk away, and now every shadow seems shaped like you. You step into a narrow street of glowing silk and sudden silence. No drums here, no flutes, no laughter, just soft footsteps and the rustle of fabric. The buildings lean in, their wooden beams sag like tired elders, and paper lanterns hang low, almost brushing your shoulders. You walk carefully. The world has shifted into hush. And then you see her, standing perfectly still at the end of the alley, framed by two swaying banners. She wears white from throat to toe. Her veil is sheer, barely masking the absence behind it. She has no eyes. But you know she sees you. She doesn't speak. She doesn't beckon. But your feet move anyway. The bracelet on your wrist tingles. You stop a few feet away. She tilts her head, slowly, deliberately. Her hands move. Not quite a gesture, not quite a dance. They draw something invisible between you. A thread, a promise, a warning. Then she raises a small object between her palms. A mask, painted ivory, blank. Except for the lips, a soft red smile. She holds it toward you. You don't want to take it. You do anyway. The moment your fingers brush it, the veil lifts from her face. There's nothing underneath. Not bone, not darkness, just space. Not absence, not void, but potential. The shape of someone not yet written. The wind catches the veil. It floats to you and wraps itself gently around your shoulders like memory. She is gone. You stand alone, holding the mask, the fabric pressed to your skin. The mask fits your hand like it was carved from your breath. You turn it over. On the inside, a name. Yours. But spelled the way only you ever wrote it. Your real name. The one no one here should know. The one you haven't used in years. You slip the mask into your sash. With the crane. With the coin. With the poem. With the jade. Too many things. Too many selves. You hear footsteps behind you. You turn. The street is empty. Only your reflection in the shop window remains. Only it's wearing the mask, and it's smiling wider than you are. You blink, it matches you again. But the moment lingers like steam. You walk faster now. The air thickens with incense again, wrapping around your lungs like velvet. You reach another plaza, different now. This one is filled with masks, hanging from poles, resting on tables, worn by no one, yet watching everyone. Some are serene, others twisted. A few are cracked down the middle like they broke trying to smile. You feel the mask in your sash shift, warm, ready. You back away from the display. A boy is carving a new one nearby. His knife moves quickly, like it already knows the lines. You peer over his shoulder. He's carving your nose. You step back. He doesn't stop. You want to ask him who told him to do this, but you already know the answer. Historians still argue whether masks used during full moon rituals were meant to honor spirits or confuse them. Some scholars suggest each mask gave the wearer a new role, freeing them from consequence. Others say the mask let someone else wear you. You walk away. Every step the mask feels heavier. It's not wood. It's not paper. It's not even a mask anymore. It's a mirror waiting to be worn. You keep moving and wonder, when you put it on, will it hide you or replace you? You keep walking even though the streets no longer look familiar. The festival is twisted. What were once alleyways now open into courtyards you don't remember passing. A stall that once sold fans now offers only mirrors, rows of them, unframed and floating upright as if hung by breath. Each one reflects you, but not quite. In one, your smile is wider. In another, your braid undone. In one, your robes are a richer gold than you remember, your bracelet thicker, almost chained. You don't stay long. You duck into a side street and try to slow your thoughts. But the bracelet hums, and the mask presses against your side like a second spine. You hear drums again, closer this time, but not the celebratory kind. These are slower, heavier, measured like footsteps you can't see yet. You follow the sound. You know you shouldn't, but you do. You arrive in a square lit only by the moon. The crowd is gathered in complete silence, lined in neat, rigid rows. No one speaks, no one moves. And at the center, the lion. Not the same one as before. This one is darker, the costume stitched with black thread and gold teeth. Its mane less like silk and more like ash caught mid-air. It prowls slowly between the people. No drummers, no music, only the lion. It turns, it sees you, and this time it bows lower, then it speaks, not aloud, not with sound, but with presence. You have carried too much, it says, inside your chest. You have taken what was not given. You have remembered more than you should. It moves toward you, each step deliberate, the clack of its wooden paws echoing in your bones. You must shed something. You reach into your sash. One hand touches the crane, another the jade, another the scroll, another the poem. Your fingers hover over the mask. That one, the lion says, the one that fits too well. You don't want to. It's yours now. Or maybe it isn't. You pull it free. It vibrates in your hand. Warm, alive. The lion nods. Place it in my mouth. You step forward. Everyone is still watching. No one blinks. You kneel before the lion. It opens its jaws, wide and dark and too deep. You place the mask inside. It vanishes into shadow. The lion closes its mouth and roars. The crowd disperses instantly. No panic, no chaos. Just disbanded. Like actors released from script. Only you and the lion remain. It leans close. Now something else may wear it. You whisper, "Who?" The lion doesn't answer. It turns and walks away. As it does, its colours fade. Red, then brown, then grey, until it's only a man, carrying a lion's head under one arm. He disappears into the dark. You stand in the empty square, the moon your only witness. You breathe, and for the first time all night, nothing hums against your skin. The bracelet is silent. The poem doesn't warm. Even the coin is cool now. Historians still argue whether the line of the second dance was meant to judge or to cleanse. Some stories say it consumed masks to prevent possession. Others say it simply gathered the faces that no longer knew who they belonged to. You walk, not because you're being led, but because you finally can. The path ahead is yours, at least for now, until the next mask finds you. You think the night has softened now. No more lion, no more masks. Your hands are lighter, yet not empty. You still carry the jade, the turtle, the paper crane, and the folded poem with its red thread seal. Things you were given, things you chose to keep. Or perhaps, things that chose you. The bracelet no longer hums, but you're not naive enough to think the story is finished. The streets seem quieter. Or maybe you've changed the way you listen. The laughter that once rang like celebration now sounds more like performance. The lanterns seem to flicker with intent. Even the shadows have rearranged themselves, curling like parentheses around every step you take. You find yourself approaching the river again. It's calmer now, not still, but less angry. Like it's remembered how to pretend. The lanterns float in slower patterns, drifting in circles that never seem to close. Some burn blue, a few white. Most have dimmed to a gold so soft it almost blends with the water. And then, there it is. Your lantern. The one that didn't behave. Still afloat. Still burning. But now it's joined by others. Identical. You crouch at the edge, staring down at them. Each bears your reflection. But each reflection is different. One smiles. One weeps. One stares back with eyes that know more than you want to. You look away. Someone sits down beside you. A girl, small, barefoot, her robe no more than a scrap of silk. She hums tunelessly and dips her hand into the water, pulls out a lantern, hands it to you. It's dry, warm, and inside, instead of a candle, a mirror. You peer into it. This time, no tricks, no warping. It's you, tired, unmasked, mouth slightly open like you're still halfway through a question you never asked aloud. The girl reaches into your sash and removes the paper crane. You let her. She opens its wings, looks at the writing, still becoming. She folds it differently now, not into a crane, but a boat. She places it on the river and lets it go. It floats, beautifully. Then it catches fire. You leap forward, reflex, but the girl's hand stops you. "Things must leave," she whispers, "so you can stay." You sit back. The crane boat burns until it is gone. You reach into your sash and remove the poem. You unfold it. The red thread falls away. The ink is faded but still legible. It says, "You will remember what they forget." Historians still argue whether messages from temple calligraphers held prophecy or were merely poetry, but survivors of such festivals, if any truly existed, often spoke of lines that followed them, long after the ink had dried. You fold the paper again, slip it into the river. This time it sinks. The girl stands, brushes off her hands and says, "You're almost done." You ask, "Done with what?" She looks at you, then up, at the moon. You'll know when it stops watching. Then she walks away, barefoot, unhurried. You stay there a while. The water laps softly at your sandals. The lanterns turn lazily, reflecting more than light. You think about everything you've picked up and everything you've lost. The masks, the mirror, the name written in gold, the lion who bowed. You think about the weight of beauty, the cost of being seen, and how easy it is to forget that every celebration begins with a quiet agreement. To play along, you rise. The river nods in soft waves behind you. The path forward is dim, but for once, you're not afraid of the dark. The crowd is gathering again, but this time it's different. You can feel it in the hush, thicker than silence. It's not reverence, it's not awe, it's anticipation. You drift toward the main square, your feet barely making sound on the stone. Around you, others walk the same direction, not talking, not pointing, just following. Like birds before a storm. You pass beneath strings of lanterns so high they seem like stars tied down. The moon is massive now, anchored low in the sky, casting a silver sheen over everything. Even the shadows are moonlit. You arrive just as the drums begin. Again, but not festive. This rhythm is ancient, slow, intentional, like a heartbeat too big for one body. The square is wide, cleared of vendors and banners. In the centre stands a tower of stacked lanterns, dozens high, their paper glowing with ink, symbols you can't read, but that still press on your ribs like memory. One by one, people approach the tower. They hold slips of paper. Some fold them, some burn them, some whisper to them and tuck them into the cracks between lanterns like secrets fed to a fire. You reach for your sash. There's one thing left, The jade. You hold it in your palm, its surface cool and silent. The bracelet on your wrist stirs just once, not a hum, not a warning, just acknowledgement. The girl with the moon-painted mask appears beside you. She doesn't speak. She lifts your hand and gently removes the jade. She carries it to the tower, places it in a small bowl at the base, already filled with trinkets, coins, ribbons, a cracked turtle figurine, a broken flute, a pile of promises. Your jade joins them. The girl returns to you and presses something into your hand. Not a replacement, a reminder. It's a slip of paper. Blank. Except for one small symbol in the corner, a spiral. You recognize it. It was on the calligrapher's table, on the fan, and on the puppet's chest. The spiral means return, or repeat, or rebirth. Historians still argue whether the final lantern ceremony in Hội An was meant to close the festival or to reopen something far older. Some say it marked a pact. Others say it kept something sealed. The drums stop. The tower is lit. Lantern by lantern, flame climbs upward. The ink glows. The crowd exhales. No one claps. No one moves. Because this is not celebration. This is offering. The flames reach the top. And then, the sky responds. Not thunder, not wind, but light. A flash across the water, a shimmer. The river is on fire, not burning, just glowing. As if every lantern submerged earlier has resurfaced and joined hands. A path of fire across the current. It leads somewhere. You step toward it. But someone takes your arm. The woman from the mooncake courtyard. Her gloves are gone now. Her hands are painted black to the wrist. You don't follow that path, she says. Why not? Because you're not done being remembered. And then she's gone. You look back at the water. The path is already fading. One by one, the lights blink out. Not extinguished, just withdrawn. You look down at the slip of paper in your hand. The spiral remains. You fold it into a square. Place it inside your robe. Not as a gift. Not as a burden, but as a choice. The last drumbeat fades. The crowd disperses. No one speaks. You remain in the square, alone now. The air is soft. The silence is honest. And the moon, high above, finally begins to wane. The night is exhaling. You feel it in the gentle shift of the lantern light, the way shadows no longer creep but stretch and settle. The sky has begun its slow fade from silver to charcoal, and for the first time in hours, or is it days, you feel the weight of fatigue. But sleep doesn't come here. It waits, just like everything else in Hội An. You walk slowly, your feet sore but steady. The slip of paper with the spiral remains tucked inside your robe, warm from your skin. The jade is gone, the mask is gone, but your name, your real one, is still echoing inside your head. The streets are nearly empty now, except for the dancers, not many, just a handful moving silently in a circle near the ancient banyan tree. Their movements are slower than before, less ritual, more memory. They're not performing. They're remembering something with their bodies. One of them breaks off. She walks toward you, barefoot, veilless, eyes kind. She holds out a piece of silk. Folded, plain. You take it. Unfold it. Inside, your face. Painted. But not as you are, as you were. Before the robe, before the bracelet, before the lion, before the choosing. You're not lost, she says. I feel lost, you admit. You've just been translated. She turns and rejoins the circle. You hold the painted silk like a mirror that refuses to lie. Then a boy approaches, the same one who carved the mask. He offers you a cup of tea. You hesitate. He shrugs. It's just tea. You drink. It's bitter. Real. You exhale. He smiles. You'll forget parts of this, he says. I don't want to. You will anyway. The festival chooses what you keep. He bows deeply. You bow back. When you rise, he's gone. A small bell rings. Not far. You follow the sound to the edge of the river. There a woman stands alone. She wears the governor's colours. Her hair is loose. Her robe damp from mist. The governor's daughter. But quieter now. Less glowing. More present. You survived, she says softly. You don't answer. She doesn't need you to. She holds out her hand, not to take anything, just to offer a moment. You place your hand in hers, warm, steady. I thought I was the offering, you say. She looks at you. You were, but I'm still here. Some offerings are meant to be returned. Historians still argue whether the full moon festival of 17th century Hội An ever truly ended. Some accounts claim it looped back on itself, that certain visitors never left, only transformed. Others insist it was a ritual of cleansing, of letting go. But none agree on what exactly was being honoured or sacrificed. You and the governor's daughter watch the last lantern drift down the river, a soft gold, no flicker, just calm. She releases your hand, walks away without turning back. You remain at the water's edge, in your sash. A spiral, a crane, a coin, a folded face, a memory that doesn't quite sit still. The moon is lower now, almost touching the water. Its light not so much fading as letting go. You sit, breathe, and begin to remember what you'll soon forget. You stay at the river until the sky shifts from charcoal to ink blue. The moon has begun its slow retreat behind the hills, its silver glow fading into pale suggestion. The stars blink dimly now, their work done. The lanterns, gone, vanished, sunk or extinguished. Not a trace left, but the current still flows. And now it carries nothing but silence. You rise, you walk the streets one last time. The silk banners have been taken down, the stalls are bare, the puppet pool has dried to mud. Even the mirrors, those strange hanging eyes, are gone. Only their hooks remain. You pass the house where you first arrived. The door is open, the tea tray is gone, the dragon-embroidered net has been folded. The robe, your robe, is folded too, on the same bed where you began. But you don't put it back on. You've outgrown it. You walk barefoot through the halls. The boards do not whisper this time. They simply accept. In the courtyard, an old man sweeps ashes into a ceramic bowl. He looks up, nods. "Morning comes," he says. You smile faintly. "Does it ever really leave?" He chuckles. "It leaves just enough space for the night to feel special." You pass him. He doesn't stop you. The last thing you carry is the paper slip with the spiral. You unfold it one final time. Now, beneath the spiral, a single phrase has appeared, written in the same ink that never dries. When beauty forgets, you remember. You reach the town gate just as the rooster crows. The threshold is marked with soot. A final blessing. A final warning. You cross it. Step out. No crowd gathers, no applause, no memory leaves with you. Only footprints in dew. Only the hush of your own breath. Only the spiral folded now into a new shape. A star, perhaps, or a seed. You tuck it away and walk toward the hills where the road curves out of sight. Not toward home, but toward morning. And now, as the lanterns fade and the drums go quiet, you can let your breath soften. You've wandered far tonight. Through firelit rivers, through silk-threaded streets, through story after story dressed up as gifts. You may not remember every moment, but your body will. Your breath will. The hush behind your heartbeat still hums with folded poems and warm jade and the faint tug of a bracelet that only tightened when someone noticed you. You were more than a visitor. You were seen. You were more than a name. You were a shape in the story. And now the moon is setting. You can let go. Let go of the puppet that turned its head. Let go of the mask that knew your face. Let go of the girl with no eyes who saw everything. And let the stillness come in like a tide. There's nothing left to collect tonight. Nothing left to carry, only quiet. Only the road out of Hội An bathed in soft morning. Only the memory of light on water, and how sometimes beauty doesn't have to be understood. It just has to be watched, gently, respectfully, until it flickers once more and disappears into the dark. Now, let your eyes drift shut. Let the lanterns sink beneath your thoughts. Let the air hold you. And if you wake tomorrow unsure of what was dream and what was history, let that be its own kind of magic. End of script. Sweet dreams, 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 sweet dreams.